Alright guys, welcome back to finally another cooking video. Today we're actually going to be making some bacon. We're going to keep it simple, we're going to get straight to it, nothing fancy. We're just going to be breaking out some pork belly. We're going to start by cutting this big piece down into fours. You could leave this whole technically, but I cut it down into fours just so it fits easier into my smoker. Alright, so now we're just going to score the meat so that the seasoning can get down through the skin. And when we go to put it in the smoke will actually get down through the skin because the skin basically protects all the meat from everything. All right, now that we got those scored, we're gonna do the recipe. We're gonna start with 1 cup of kosher salt. This is gonna be for our cure. So a basic cure is just 50-50 salt and sugar. Now you can use either white sugar or brown sugar, depending on the flavor profile you wanna go for. I like to use brown sugar just because it's a little sweeter. It's got a little bit of that molasses flavoring to it. We got 1 cup of brown sugar in there. We're gonna go with 1 teaspoon of dried mustard seeds, a whole lot of fresh ground black pepper, and just keep grinding. And grinding. There we go. All right, now we're going to take 2 bay leaves. They are dried. We're actually going to want to ground them up in a spice grinder. Alright, so you're gonna get those in that spice grinder, you're gonna bust them up, try and get it ground down as fine as you can. A few little big chunks in there is still okay. Try not to spill it everywhere like I've just done. All right, so we got the bay leaf in there. We are now ready to go. We're gonna grab a whisk and we're gonna mix this all together just so everything's incorporated well. Come on, grab your whisk. There you go. Give it a stir, break down all the chunks of the salt and the sugar. Couple big chunks left in there is still okay. Then we're gonna be ready to season the meat. All right, so you're gonna grab 1 chunk at a time. You are going to season it liberally. Pack as much on there as you possibly can. We're gonna throw some more on there before we're gonna put this in bags after to put in the fridge. We're gonna throw a little bit more on there just to make sure you get as much on as you can. Try and make sure all the stuff that drops onto the tray don't waste too much, so we pat it on there. Make sure you get some onto the skin too. Try and rub it in between the slices that we made in the skin. You really want to make sure you pat it on there. All right, so now we're just going to wipe down the counter real quick. Clean up our mess. All right, so now we're going to grab Ziploc bags. Now that we got everything all seasoned up, we're going to slide pieces of pork belly into the bag once we get it open. Turns out it's a little bit harder to open a bag with one hand than I thought. So we're going to get the bag open. We're going to slide the pork belly into there. And like I said earlier, we're going to add a little bit more extra seasoning in there. You want to really make sure you get as much as you can all over the meat. Now we're going to seal these bags up. Try and press some of the air out as much as you can. We're going to seal these up and we're going to pop these into the fridge. And they're going to sit for 5 to 7 days. 5 days minimum, 7 days is your best option. You're going to pull these out now. As you can see, there's some liquid in the bag. That's the liquid that's been pulled out of the meat by the salt and sugar. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take these out of the bag. You just want to rinse them off under cold water. Rinse off the mustard seeds, any of the bay leaf chunks, and the remaining salt and sugar. All right, so now that we've got that rinsed off, you can have a little bit of mustard seed or bay leaf still on it. It's okay. You can always knock them off, and you'll see as we pat it off here dry. You want to make sure you take a paper towel and dry these off as much as you can before they go into the smoker. Otherwise, you will end up with a weird kind of slime on the outside of your bacon, and it's quite unpleasant. All right, we've patted it all dry. Now we're going to load these up, put them on the racks for the smoker. And let's get gotta make sure we get our wood chips ready to go. This time we're using cherry wood chips. Normally I like to use apple wood, but I didn't have any of those on hand. So cherry wood it is. You want to let these soak for at least 4 hours. If you want to soak them overnight, that's even better. We're going to load them into the smoking tray. I like to line mine with a little bit of tin foil just so it doesn't burn the bottom of the pan as much. So you need those all out, give them a nice little spread out so it's even. Get a nice even burn going through those. All right, so we're gonna take these to the smoker and we're gonna pop them in at 225 degrees for 4 to 6 hours. By the time you pull them off, they're gonna have a nice brown coloring to them. You'll see some of the fat is rendered out. The slits of where we cut with a knife have split open. That's how you know the fat has started to render down through the meat. Now, this is a hot smoked bacon. It is a little bit different than store-bought bacon, which would be cold smoked and has to be full. You could actually slice this off and eat it right now if you want. But I still like to slice it up, fry it in a pan, maybe toss in a little bit of maple syrup. I hope you guys enjoyed a nice, simple little bacon video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you want to learn anything, a specific recipe, feel free to suggest them as well. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Cheers.